Faraz Shaukat is a journalist. He joins us from Colombo, Sri Lanka. He's actually a broadcaster with news channel News First. He's also an editor at the Ceylon Independent. Sir, our sincerest condolences to you and the people of Sri Lanka. We wanted to talk to you to get a little bit of history and context. May 18th is going to mark 10 years since the end of the decades-long civil war in Sri Lanka. Can you tell our viewers who may not be familiar with that what started that conflict and where the country is now and where they were before the terror attack?
Yes, thank you very much. Happy Easter to you too. But in Sri Lanka, the ethnic conflict began approximately 40 years ago and finished approximately 10 years ago. It lasted about 30 years, and it was mainly by a group of terrorists who claimed to want independence in the northern part of Sri Lanka, which is a tiny island, maximum 240 miles long by about 140 miles wide. We have 20 million people, and it took 30 years for the government of Sri Lanka to comprehensively finish that war. And for the last 10 years nearly, we've lived in relative peace and harmony, working towards reconciliation and a lasting unity, to return to reconciliation and the unity that we had pre the terrorist war in Sri Lanka. And this attack today on targeting the churches and also the luxury hotels in our city, in the capital, is absolutely horrendous. It's caught the people of Sri Lanka completely unawares, and unfortunately it appears to have caught the intelligence authorities in our country also completely unawares. We have, like I say, enjoyed a relative peace for the last 10 years. So it came as a complete shock, and the barbaric nature of this attack, especially in the churches, caught a lot of children. 215 people have died, amongst them 35 foreign nationals from the hotels, and a massive 449 people injured.
Faraz, who are these extremists that the government says is behind the attacks?
Well, the government haven't given us much detail, except to say that they have got 7 people under arrest, and the Deputy Defense Minister, who's in charge of internal security, has told us that he believes that this is the work of one group, as yet unspecified. And the Sri Lankan government is keen not to jump to any conclusions, bearing in mind the communal undertones of this attack. And so they want to get it right before they actually announce who was behind this attack.
We can respect that. Since the government is saying religious extremists are behind the country, I'm curious, what is the religious makeup of Sri Lanka?
Well, Sri Lanka is predominantly a Buddhist country. About 70% of that is Buddhist. And we then have Hindus, which make about 15 to 16%. And we then have the Muslim community and also a robust Christian community, approximately around 10% for the Christian community. And we've never had any sort of trouble with or anything aimed particularly at the Christian community ever before. We've had the odd one or two during the Civil War, but nothing quite like this that appears to have been targeted at the Christian community, especially whilst the Easter service was going on.
Faraz, talk to us about the social media ban. We heard that access has been blocked to sites like Facebook and WhatsApp to control the spread of misinformation and rumor. Is that still the case, or are you unable to go and use those apps right now at all?
Purely like that, yes, we are unable to. However, everybody who knows about these things does use a VPN service, and they can get around that. But by and large, the government have been proactive in banning this because they learned from previous inaction about a year or perhaps about 2 years ago, when we had problems up in the hills targeting one particular community.
And social media was a part of that targeting?
Yes, because during that incident, they found that the use of Facebook was used extensively to gather the extremists into one particular area and carry out a cowardly attack on a minority community at the time.
Faraz, this is fascinating to listen to because, you know, the U.S. and many other countries has its own struggles with disinformation being spread across social media. So it's interesting to hear you tell what's happening there and what's being done by your government. Is there anything we can do?
Well, I think the world at large, especially the nations that hold democracy dear to their hearts and to their vision and to their political vision, must all get together, and especially in a country like Sri Lanka, which is a non-aligned state in our foreign policy dealings. All countries that profess the democratic lifestyle should all get together, because terrorism is not the sole preserve of a few nations. Terrorism is a global problem, and all nations must absolutely get together and focus, just as the Americans did after the World Trade Center attacks all those years ago.
Faraz, is there a fear that this attack is going to reignite clashes?
I think that is a fear that this government had, and therefore they were proactive in declaring a state of curfew, dusk to dawn, which will expire in about 6 hours from now.
Faraz, we thank you for your time. Our sincerest condolences are with the people of Sri Lanka, and we will report every detail of this story as long as we need to. Thank you for your time and your insight in the context.
Thank you very much.